All right, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, welcome to Facebook Live. Hi, I'm Mallory Buford, the chef and partner here at Fajitas A Go Go. And today we're going to talk a little bit about National Grilling Month, which is July. And we're going to talk a little bit about this new cookbook that we're featured in. So, Serial Griller by Matt Moore just came out. We have it available here for sale at the restaurant, and look at this. Fajitas A Go Go is featured here in this book. Whatever the only restaurant from Houston is actually, I believe, only from Texas as well. It's featured here, so we are going to be. So we're pretty proud of this. Glad Matt decided to choose us for this book, and to celebrate the release of this book and National Grilling Month, we have put together a pack for this weekend, for 4th of July weekend, for you guys to grill with, okay? So in that pack is a pound of shrimp, 2 pounds of our sirloin flap steak, or flap sirloin, and then a pound of our signature boar sausage, our own recipe. So I'm going to today, so that with all the fixings for fajitas, guacamole, chips, salsa, queso, everything you need for like 4 to 6 people for your holiday meal, this barbecuing, grilling, whatever you're doing this weekend. So that's all available here at the restaurant. We also throw in some margarita mix and a cookbook, all for $100. So you can get all that here starting today all the way up until the 6th, whatever, all weekend. So that would be available here at the restaurant. You can order online, or you can also just come in the restaurant and pick it up. So with that being said, I'm going to show you guys how we cook the beef here and a little bit about the beef sirloin. Tell you a little bit about it. First of all, we're back here at Fajitas at the grill. So we have our Aztec grill here. So this is 100% wood grill. There's no gas or anything to it, so we have to light it every day. You see here, it's super hot. So we have in here our we have mesquite and post oak is what we use here to grill everything with, so we can get a nice little flavor. If you look over here, we have our rotisserie going with our pork. That's also available every day at the restaurant. So that's our pork butt that we just put a little dry rub on, and we cook that for about 4 or so hours. Just cook it over the mesquite and post oak as well. So today I'm going to cook this right here. So this is our sirloin flap. So this is a cut on the beef, kind of near the underneath the sirloin. So it comes in big pieces like this. This one is cleaned already, and it's usually a little bit thicker than this. We usually butterfly it, clean up off all the fat and sinew and everything on it, and then we put it through a jacquard. So we kind of tenderize it a little bit, but it's already a pretty tender piece of meat, and it's also it tastes a lot like sirloin, like steak. So the reason why we use this cut here at Fajitas instead of using skirt steak like most places use for fajitas and stuff is we think it tastes better. And also we think you don't need to put a lot of seasoning on it. Like most of the fajitas you find around town or everywhere is marinated in soy sauce or pineapple juice or some kind of tenderizer because it's a tough piece of meat. The reason why they used to use that piece of meat because it used to be super cheap. And you could, back in the days, you could go to Chili's and get fajitas for like $5 for all you could eat or something like that. But that's because the meat was really cheap back then. No one knew what skirt steak was, but to make it good, you had to put a lot of seasoning, a lot of flavorings and stuff on it, tenderize it, or you just like chewing on leather. So this is a much better cut. This is much more like steak. You can see though, it is a little bit, it does have a little bit of grain to it and stuff like that. But this is what we're going to be cooking today. So we got our grill super, super hot. We're going to season this here. We only season it with salt and pepper. That's it. Just a little bit of oil, just a little bit of olive oil. We'll just brush on it to help it, all the salt, pepper, and everything kind of adhere to it, stick to it. And then we're going to throw just regular salt. We use kosher salt here, Diamond Crystal kosher salt. You want a pretty good amount. And if you notice, I kind of season it really high, so kind of you get a nice broad, even seasoning on all the meat. A little bit of black pepper, flip it over, same thing on the other side. And you guys are probably think I use a little bit more salt than you guys use, but I mean that's where everything in restaurants tastes better, because we use a lot more salt than everyone else does. It's a little pro tip for you right there. Next, we're going to oil the grill. You kind of see how hot this is. It'll probably flare up a little bit because it's super hot. So again, another pro tip, the reason why steaks and stuff taste so much better and are great whatever at restaurants and stuff is because we have equipment that gets super hot like this. So this is, you know, hot enough to catch the oil on fire pretty much. So once that's nice and hot, you know, the grill's nice and seasoned, we put a little oil in it, we're just going to throw the steaks on. Each one of these weighs probably a little over a pound, so it's pretty, the flap steak itself is probably around 3 pounds if you buy it. Once you trim it up and everything, it'll be anywhere between 2 to 3 pounds. Again, super hot heat, let it get hot. The reason why, you know, again, restaurants, they use super high heat because it seals in the flavor of the meat. It will get a nice crust on it. So we're gonna let that cook, kind of like not mess with it, just kind of let it be what it is. Enjoy the flame, get a little bit of smoke on it. And as soon as, you know, we'll let that go for about a minute or two, then we'll flip it over, let it go for another minute or so, then probably flip it over again a couple of times just to get the nice sear on it, and also we'll cook it to about a medium, rare medium. And that is, then we just slice across the grain. I'll show you how to do that. But again, if you can't find this cut, whatever, you can use skirt steak, but you'll probably have to put some kind of marinade in it or something, or tenderize it. Or you can just use a regular old steak, like a sirloin, either ribeye, use ribeye, strip steak, or even a porterhouse, something like that. You could use. So this is basically the outside of a prime rib and stuff. So, all right, you'll see it's cooking, nice hot, a little bit of gray on that side. That's where it's getting cooked. Flip it over, get some pretty good grill marks. Probably let it go a little bit longer than that, but we'll keep doing it a couple of times so it'll get nice and brown, and that nice, you know, steak will look like steak basically after it's cooked, which is what we want, and which was what we're looking for. So again, we'll talk a little bit more about, you know, grilling and everything. Being July, it's National Grill Month, so it's a good time to go out and start grilling. And you know, our grill pack is perfect for stuff like that. We got the shrimp there. We also have all the seasoning and everything for the pack that you need for it. So our shrimp, we cook our shrimp, whatever. This is Gulf shrimp, Texas Gulf shrimp. So what we'll do is the same thing. We put a little bit of spice on it, a seasoning spice that we make here at the restaurant. That sausage is made with boar, Texas boar, and also some pork in there and fat. Also poblanos and cilantro in our sausage. And then again, a little bit more of the sirloin steak. And then also in the book, we have a recipe for guacamole, pico de gallo, our queso blanco, our famous queso blanco, and also from tortillas. If you want to go 100% and go like from scratch, you can make tortillas and stuff like that, which is fun to do. All right, flip this again. Now, people always ask me, how do you know when it's done? Now, you can use a thermometer for it. Like an instant read thermometer should be about 120 or so when you take it off, maybe a little 115 usually when I take it off and let it rest. I'll let it sit out and rest for a little bit, or you can just kind of check. I mean, I've kind of done this long enough that I know what it feels like when it's medium rare. It's probably still pretty rare right now, really soft. And again, you can always take it, pull it off, cut a little piece of it off, and look at it, kind of cheat a little bit, put it back on, and that's really, you can do that a couple of times. You'll learn what a piece of, you know, medium rare, mid-well, well-done steak, whatever it feels like. It just takes a little bit of practice, but you know, if you do it every day for a while, you get used to it, and you can kind of tell almost by timing, you kind of figure out how hot the grill is and how long it will take. So, you know, we flipped it a couple times, let it go. And then everyone asks me kind of, you know, about grilling, what's the best thing to do? I mean, how do you grill, or what's the difference between like grilling and barbecuing and stuff like that? I used to do some barbecuing, and I used to do some barbecue competitions and do some of that stuff. Grilling's a little bit different. Grilling is high heat, quick cooking, high heat, whereas barbecue traditionally is more like slow cooking, more smoke, cooks the food or seasons the food than the grill itself. So that's kind of the difference between those two things. If people are asking you or you want to know. So these are looking pretty good. You can kind of see some nice grill marks on it. It's just about ready. This piece here is a little bit thinner. Seems to be almost ready. But so we'll let that go just about maybe another 30-45 seconds or so. We'll take it off, let it rest a little bit. And when everyone says pull it off, chefs say pull it off and let it rest, you're asking what does that mean? Is it going to get cold? Yes, you are letting it cool off a little bit, but also you have to think about this piece of meat. It's got a lot of heat going to it and stuff like that, and when you let it cool down, it kind of lets all the steam and all the heat that's in there kind of in the center of the meat kind of contract and get kind of cool down, so all the juice and flavor and stuff will kind of retract back into the meat, so when you slice it doesn't like all run out immediately. So that one's about ready. All right, so we're just going to let them sit there on the cutting board for a little bit, let them cool off and kind of rest a little bit, but you can see they're still nice and juicy. This cut of meat does have a pretty good amount of fat in it. It's got some fat. You can kind of see the fat from the roll piece. You'll see the little white specks and stuff like that. So that's fat. That's where all the flavor is. You know, people who like fillets and stuff like that, you know, it really doesn't really have all that beefy flavor or whatever. It tastes more a little too lean. I'm not a big fan. I'd much rather have a big ribeye with a lot of big fat eye in it and stuff like that to get a lot of the nice beef flavor to it. So that's what I'm looking for more in steaks, and like a prime rib or something like that is kind of more my go-to steak than the fillets or the leaner cuts. But I mean, they do have a purpose for like tartare and stuff, I think, but for as grilling, I think I'd rather stick with this. Stuff like this, it holds up a little bit better. It has a little bit of fat to it, so when you do cook it, the fat melts and kind of marinates or kind of like tenderizes the meat, and you get that nice flavor to it. All right, so let this rest a little bit, and if you notice, looks, you know, there's kind of a V. There are some kind of there's a grain to it. So the muscle fibers on this are going this way. And so what you want to do is you want to slice against the grain. So what that does when you slice against the grain, whatever, it makes it a little bit tenderer when you eat it. So you're not having to bite through that muscle fiber, whatever. Like you'll see when people cut brisket and stuff like that, that's a prime example of when brisket, people always kind of cut against the grain with brisket. They cut it around the other, they cut it and you taste a piece of brisket or something like that and it's really tough and you pull off like a big long string of it or something. That person who ever cut it didn't know what they were doing. So you should probably just throw that away and go somewhere else that's a little bit better. So, but to go to some pit master who knows what they're doing there. All right, so this, you know, and here fajitas, all we do is we just slice a little bit of it, you know. You can see still a lot of that meat's coming out, a lot of the juice is coming out, but you know, it's a nice rosy, pinkish, mid-rare color. And again, you can cut this as thick or as thin as you want, but again, you can see the strenuations, you know, the grain, basically what you see on that. So that's how you can tell that the person at least knows what they're doing, the cooking, and you can see that really prevalent in stuff like brisket, stuff like that, cuts like that. This kind of meat actually comes pretty close to where brisket is, so it's kind of in the belly area and stuff like that. Brisket is more in the belly and more of a muscle that just kind of holds up the gut of the cow, I guess. So it's usually a little bit tougher and stuff like that. It does have a lot of fat on it though, so that's why you have to cook it a long time. And so that's it right there. That is our beef fajita. Again, watch this video, check it out on YouTube or Facebook, keep it, bookmark it. You can watch it whenever you need to see how to grill this stuff. And don't forget, this weekend, all week, we're doing this, our pack, our grilling pack for 4th of July. We did it for Father's Day, super popular. Comes with a quart of our margarita mix as well, and the cookbook. And it's actually a great cookbook. It's got it's got some really, really good pit masters and cooks in it. So Matt Moore, he's done a couple other books, a couple other Southern cooking books. But again, I'm Mallory Buford, live from Fajitas A Go Go, and we are cooking beef. All right, enjoy.